What's that? Swimmer attacked off Spamity Island by a scallop? I'm on my way. Although I know of no officially recorded scallop attacks, in French mythology, St. James did rescue a knight who fell into the ocean and emerged covered with scallops, which is why the French call that bivalve Coquille St. Jacques to this day. Poppycock? Of course it is. But a trip to Spamity means getting to consume my weight in scallops, meaty morsels, which are nothing if not.
Here he comes.
Chief Brooding, I got here as fast as I could.
Town folk are inside, and they're scared.
Good and scared.
Folks, I realize that your town has suffered a terrible shock and that this nice lady has lost a toe.
It was my favorite toe. It's okay. We'll get you a new one here.
Yes, but look, I've got to tell you that the culprit was probably a piece of broken glass or maybe a barracuda.
There ain't no barracuda around here.
Trust me, there ain't nothing around here but scallops.
I seen one eat a squirrel once.
I just, calm down, please, please. Look, it's just not possible, okay? I mean, there are dozens, hundreds of different varieties of scallops, but around here, there are only two types. There are bay scallops, which is Argopecten irradians, and then there are sea scallops, okay? And those are Placopecten megalonicus. Now, they different sizes, but they share the same unique design, okay? They have a very large adductor muscle, and it rapidly opens and closes this symmetrical fan-shaped shell via the central hinges.
Like castanets?
Yes, exactly like castanets. By opening and closing the shell, water is forced through these valves, thus propelling the creature through the water. No other bivalve can do this. And of course, this adductor muscle is the part of the scallop that we eat.
That muscle looks really strong.
Yeah, that could take a toe off easy.
Actually, this muscle lacks real clamping ability. The shell is held closed by a much smaller little muscle along the side, and it's very weak, which is why, unlike clams and oysters and mussels, scallops die very quickly when they're removed from the water. So even if the scallop could have gotten hold of your toe, ma'am, it wouldn't have been able to hold onto it, much less, well, you know. Besides, the scallop's 40 or so eyes are very primitive. It wouldn't have been able to find you.
Y'all know me. You know how I earn a living. I bet my hat this critter's the same one that took my eye in '73. I'll catch him for you, but it ain't gonna be easy.
Excuse me, not really him. Scallops are hermaphroditic, so it could be a he and a she.
Whatever, I'll find it for 3, but I'll catch it and kill it and cook it for $10.
Dollars?
Plus expenses. But I don't want no help, no mates. There's already too many captains on this island.
Captain Squint, we agree with your terms, but with one condition. You have to take Mr. Brown here with you.
Let me see your hand. Soft. Looks like you've been playing with test tubes all your life.
Oh, bother. Smell that sea air. This is going to be fun. You know, since they are crazy perishable, the method by which scallops are captured greatly affects their freshness. Now, ships that dredge the open ocean floor for scallops don't just mangle the seabed, but they have to stay out quite a while in order to make the trip worthwhile. So they either shuck and freeze their catch, or they treat them with chemicals. Either way, the quality is compromised. Now, boats that go out in the morning and return to dock in the evening deliver far fresher scallops, which are called day boat scallops. But the freshest of all are diver scallops, which, as the name suggests, are harvested by folks with tanks on their backs. I don't believe this. A houseboat?
Hey, don't diss my ride, you galley dog. She runs as smooth as the rear end of a porpoise. Now, what's all that stuff for then?
Diving gear. Thought I might do a little scalloping.
You going in the water?
Well, that is the best place to find the scallops, Captain.
You go in the water, scallops in the water, our scallop, very few fair Spanish ladies.
You know that whole thing I said about this being fun? We'll take it back. Now, in most major markets, you can find two types of scallops. Big ones, that is sea scallops, and little ones, bay scallops. Now, in the Pacific Northwest, spiny and pink scallops make occasional appearances. If you're willing to do a little snorkeling down in Florida in the summertime, you can often find all the tiny calico scallops that you can eat. Just make sure that you are, diving during the season and living up to the local laws, or you'll get your wallet slapped, or worse. They'll make you take home one of those. So, Captain, will we be setting off soon?
No, I gotta wait for the tide. Why don't you go downstairs and cook us up some grub?
Okay, what do you have down there?
Scallops,
Yeah.
beer.
And crackers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Bay and sea scallops are available in both frozen and fresh form, and each one of those forms has its particular uses. But when it comes to fresh scallops, especially sea scallops, you need to be cautious. You must develop the ability to spot the difference between dry and wet scallops. Now, dry scallops are usually ivory or slightly pink or even orange in color, not white. Of course, they don't actually look dry. The term refers to the fact that these lovely lozenges have not been soaked in any kind of chemical, say sodium tripolyphosphate. This solution is used to help scallops retain moisture when frozen. Now, there's nothing wrong with that per se, unless the scallop in question is not going to be frozen. You see, treating fresh scallops with STP causes them to gain moisture, making them heavier, which could be a good thing for a retailer, but it's never good for a cook, because once this stuff is inside the scallop, they become very difficult to cook properly, and they are impossible to sear properly.
According to FDA regulations, any scallop with a water content of 82% or higher must be labeled as water added product. And those scallops with a water content above 86% cannot be marketed at all.
Well, he's certainly right about
You
that.
give me that, you land-loving lollygagger!
Jeez, little sensitive. Untreated scallops are kind of sticky, slightly stickier than they are wet, and they're springy, kind of like ocean-going gelatin. And above all, when you shop for them, they should never be floating around in pools of milky goo like this. Fresh scallops should be kept in an airtight container, devoid of excess moisture and preferably surrounded by ice. They should be used within a day or two of purchase at most. Frozen scallops can be kept 2 to 3 months in the deep freeze, and prior to using, just transfer them to the fridge and thaw them overnight.
Chief, we'll be casting off soon. Hurry up with that grub, and be sure to make enough for the dock hands. Feeding them's good luck, you know.
No, I didn't know that. The secret to cooking scallops, besides buying the right ones, is simple. Sear them. This little guy is all muscle, like a tiny tenderloin, and he's packed with amino acids and a substance called glycogen, which is a chemical combo that mussels use to store glucose. This substance browns up beautifully as long as it gets a high dose of heat from the right kind of surface. Now, take the average pan, if we can find one around here. Luckily, I always travel with spares. Now that we have secured the proper pan, we can get to searing. I'm going to place this over high heat, and luckily I brought my own heat source because old Smokey here I think would burn the boat down. Now, as for fat, nothing browns like butter, but butter also burns at a relatively low temperature. So I'm going to augment it with a little olive oil. Not extra virgin olive oil, just plain old olive oil. It has a relatively high smoke point and certainly has a more neutral flavor. So I'm just going to let this melt over medium-high heat. I don't want it to melt so quickly that the butter starts popping and jumping all over the place. It contains some water. We want that to evaporate out nice and easy. Don't want any industrial accidents in here, so we'll do that over medium heat. Meanwhile, we will face these scallops themselves. The key to this is that they have got to be bone dry, so I like to go over them with a paper towel just to make sure there's no moisture at all, and then give them some seasoning. Salt, always a good idea. You can use any coarse salt. I like kosher, of course, but you could use sea salt. There we go. A little pepper. Not too much. Pepper can burn. I'm going to go with a relatively fine grind on this, not a coarse grind. Here's something to point out. A lot of times scallops come with that small muscle, the one that keeps the shell closed, still on the side. It is pretty tough when it's cooked, so just tear it off gently and feed it to the fish if you like. A lot of times they're already taken off. This one was still on. So I'm going to check the fat. All the butter is melted, and we'll wait for the rest of the water in that butter to bubble out. Now, once the bubbling stops, watch, and when you just start to see the first wisps of smoke come up off of the fat, you'll know that it's time to get the scallops in the pan. And you don't want to wait, because once it starts to burn, it'll happen pretty quickly. There we go. Now they can go in. I'm going to work in kind of a radial from the outside in. Now this is key. Once those scallops are in the pan, don't go moving them around. If they're going to get a good sear on them, they need to stay put. And notice I'm not cramping them. If you don't have enough room in your pan, you can do this in 2 batches. A minute and a half has passed, so it is time to flip. And I'm going to go in the same order that I put them in the pan. And I don't want to futz with them any more than I have to, so to get them in position and leave them be. Nice sears there. Some of them are probably going to sear a little better than others. That's okay, especially if they have a little bit more pepper on them. Now these need to stay down for yet another minute and a half. And once again, no finicking, no fiddling, no poking, turning, or checking, okay? Because after all, the real goal here is to create a strata of textures by creating a strata of donenesses, ranging from the outer sear to pert near raw, right slap dab in the middle. Now, you will be tempted during the cooking process to turn down the heat because there's going to be some hissing and splattering and some smoking and whatnot. But if you do that, the sear will take longer, and as a result, the interior might overcook. Do not let this happen to you. Keep the pedal to the metal, thermically speaking. There. Now that's what I'm talking about. Almost burned on the outside, barely cooked on the inside. And within that range lies all the goodness of flavor and texture that a scallop has to offer. I like to park mine on top of simple green salad tossed with a little spicy vinaigrette.
Ah, it's about time, dang ya! Don't you know we got hungry guests up there? No. Now, finish plating those salads and get to working on another dish.
But I want to come up on deck.
No. Coast Guard's coming and you're not wearing a life vest. Don't want to go to jail now, do you?
No. Well, I guess I could use these scallop shells and take some of those bay scallops over there and, I don't know, make some kind of scampi kind of thing. Step 1, crank your oven to 450 degrees. Oh, good thing I brought a spare. There. Now, place your favorite skillet over medium heat and melt 2 tablespoons of butter. That would, of course, be unsalted butter. And when that is thoroughly melted, add 1 tablespoon of finely minced garlic, along with just a little pinch of salt. Kosher salt, of course, is nice. And this is going to cook very, very quickly, only about 30 seconds. That will give us just enough time to find 1 cup of freshly ground breadcrumbs. And I'm thinking that around here, seems that we found the captain's wafers, if you get my drift, and that'll be just fine. This size cracker, about 20 finely crushed, will do the trick, so hopefully he won't mind. And just dump these right on top of the garlic and stir thoroughly to combine. You want to make sure that all of the butter is completely absorbed. And if the crackers brown a little in the process, that is okay. There. Now kill the heat. Cut up 2 medium, very, very, very ripe tomatoes and about 1/4 cup of Italian or flat leaf parsley. And I'm just going to scoop that up and deposit it into the tomatoes along with, we'll say 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. Give that a stir. Now we're going to need some kind of containment vessel to bake in. We could use just any kind of oven-ready ramekin, but well, we happen to have some of nature's ramekins right here. That's right. See, scallop shells can be used for cooking as long as you're gentle with them. So we're going to have, say, 4 of these, and we'll just divide the tomato mixture evenly. Go around and kind of half fill the first time, and then go back around with whatever remains. Distribute 8 ounces of bay scallops right on top of that. And notice I'm kind of making a little bed for them by pushing down. And the same kind of thing. I'm going to go around twice until I've got them all used up. Oh, crackers, excuse me. Not only will our flavored cracker crust provide a nice brown topping for the dish, they'll actually act as kind of insulation, keeping the scallops from drying out during their time in the oven. Because we're doing this in a toaster oven, we'll only be able to do 2 of these at a time. But I've made a little cup kind of action, or a little holder, out of this foil. So just set them thusly. We'll put one facing in and another one there. Good. That'll give us a good circulation of heat as well. Now this goes into the oven. In 8 to 10 minutes, your scallops will be cooked through and the top will be golden brown and delicious. What are you doing?
I'm gonna make a ceremonial offering to Poseidon. Bring us good luck. Give me that. You keep the dishes coming, you goody dry pants. We need all the luck we can get.
Well, once I fire off all these, all I've got left are those nasty wet pack scallops of yours.
Well, what are you waiting for then? Keep cooking.
Okay. Although wet pack scallops are definitely not my favorite, they are pretty good for making a mousse. And no, I do not mean something that you would put in your hair. Step 1, crank whatever you have that passes for an oven to 350 degrees, and then take 1 pound of wet pack scallops for a spin in your friendly neighborhood food processor. Now we want to make a smooth paste here, not a soup. So work in pulses, okay? 4 to 5 pulses will get our scallops almost smooth, and we will open up and drop in 2 egg whites. And these we will process in until basically you can't see that there are eggs in the mixture anymore. Then we will add the seasoning. 1/4 teaspoon each of freshly ground nutmeg and freshly ground white pepper. We're going to follow that with 1/2 teaspoon each of lemon zest and freshly chopped parsley and a teaspoon of kosher salt. We're going to put on the lid and then drizzle in 1/4 cup of very cold, heavy cream. Cold is crucial because what makes mousses light and fluffy, of course, is air. And the fat phase of the cream will hold on to bubbles better if it's nice and cold. As for the egg whites, well, they're there to provide protein so that the bubbles will set in place when cooked.
Chief, these Coast Guard fellas want to slap a fine on you for scalloping out of season. I think I can hold them off with a few snacks if you get my meaning.
Okay. Our scallop mousse is a daring multitasker, capable of many impressive feats. My favorite, piped mini tarts. Now, if you want to make puff pastry or phyllo tart shells from scratch, you certainly can, but the idea of working with that dough in here kind of gives me the willies. Of course, the fact that Captain Squint had store-bought phyllo cups in his freezer also kind of gives me the willies. Anyway, as far as the piping goes, you could use a real piping bag with a metal tip, but you can do what I do too, which is just snip the end out of a heavy-duty zip-top bag. Just remember that the goo will expand a little bit, so don't go too much over the edge there. Oh, and it's a good idea for this stuff to stay very, very cold while you're working, so you might want to keep a bowl of ice nearby to park it every now and then, and, in case it starts to get a little bit too loose. 10 minutes is all these little babies need to cook. But you want to let them sit and cool down for 2 to 3 minutes before you pop in your mouth. Of course, you'll burn yourself. Now, I need to find something to serve these things on. I wonder what's in here. Dive gear. Curious. Hello. Scallop attack, huh? What the blazes?
Grapes, 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 and that's the poem I wrote about wine, and I think you'll enjoy this wine. It's delicate, not pretentious, has a hint of a smoky aroma from the Renaissance era, the paintings, that is, and wait, come on, what in tarnations are you doing on deck, you scallywag? Get down below, don't you know, a storm's coming.
A storm's coming.
Excuse me, are you the chef?
Well, Yeah, I guess. Sure.
Well, the scallops were delicious.
Well, that's nice. I'm glad you like them. This is wrong. This man is perpetrating a complete and utter
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a food writer for the Times, and I'd love to do an interview with you later.
Oh. Well, maybe later. Here, you can have the rest of these. No, I can't do it. I'm going straight
Now,
to
name your
recruiting.
price.
What do you mean, name my price?
Look, business wasn't so good, so I made up the whole attack thingy, and look, now people are lining up at $2.50 a head, and I would have gotten away with it too if it hadn't been for your meddling.
50-50.
What?
You heard me.
Deal.
Well, shivering me timbers. I guess I better get below and whip up some more of them scallops for you good folks. Sure would hate for you to run out of good eats, eh? Woody, but pretentious and,
Looks like you've been playing with test tubes all your life.
I'm sorry.